Welcome to Amazon's Culture of Innovation. So my name is Marie-Christin Kippar. I'm an account executive for AWS, and I'm really excited to speak to you guys today about this topic. So let's start with Amazon's mission. Amazon's mission is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. And if you look at this mission, it's fairly broad, right? It really speaks to no particular customer, no particular type of industry or segment. So it could be small to medium businesses, it could be large enterprises, and any type of industry. Amazon deals with a lot of different customers. And so we really like to have this broad mission to make sure that we can encompass all of different individuals and customers that we interact with. But if you take another look at it, it's fairly specific. It does have a very singular focus on the customer. We really want to put the customer in the center of everything. So our customer centricity is really the one thing that aligns to all of our different aspects of our business. And we really hold that near and dear to our hearts. So where does innovation begin? We really want to dive deep and get a great understanding of our customers. So what are their needs? What are their pain points? And how can we solve those? So we would really like to say what we would like to start with the customer and work backwards. And it's really about being close to our customers, asking them, what is it, what they really need? And really get that deep understanding of their situation, their context, so we continue to innovate on their behalf. Our goal here is to make sure that they are at the center of everything. We're continuing to create a delightful customer experience. So, in 2016, Jeff Bezos wrote in his share letter that customers are always beautifully, wonderfully dissatisfied. So it means no matter what you're doing, your customer may love it, but if you create something better, they probably love that a little bit more. And so we're always looking to see what else can we solve for our customers. What else can we do? And we want to make sure that we continue that drive and desire to make sure that we're continuing to innovate on behalf of our customers. Really putting the customer in the center of all things we do and all things that we deliver. So we're just not inventing for invention's sake, right? We want to make sure that we get a deep understanding of our customers' needs and those pain points. They're unique, and we want to make sure that we understand what they really want and what they need, and continue to deliver those results to our customers. So let's take a look at Amazon's core businesses, right? And if you take a look at this screen, they're very broad. So we got things like e-commerce, Amazon Fresh, consumables, physical retail with Amazon 5-star stores, and we have devices like Amazon Echo, Alexa, Kindle, and of course AWS with its 200 plus features and services. And when you take a look at these, someone would say, they don't necessarily fit together. They're all a little over the place, right? But actually, they're all centered about one and the same thing. All of these branches of our businesses have stemmed from really having that customer focus and really trying to figure out how we can continue to delight these customers and solve these pain points for them. So being open, and again, this steams back to our mission for having that customer centricity, has really allowed us to branch out into a lot of different adventures. One item that really stems from that is the Amazon Go store. It's not like we said to say, hey, let's get into convenience store space, right? It's more what's the pain point of shopping? How can we solve that particular pain point for customers? And as we started to think about that, we were like, what point or what aspect of shopping do people really dislike? I really hate standing in line. Personally, I do really hate standing in line, especially when I'm in a hurry. So how can we solve that problem? And just trying to solve for that one particular pain point, the Amazon Go store was born. And we have these cashier-less store where people can walk in, grab things, and go. So a lot of innovations and a lot of different businesses that we're involved in, again, really stem from what? Customer centricity and having that customer-obsessed focus. Cheers. So, when thinking about the customer-obsessed focus and how we continue to innovate for our customers, we also want to ask ourselves, what needs do our customers have now? But also, what will their need be in the future? So we like to focus on what we consider to be durable needs. These durable needs are things like price, convenience, selection, and those are presented here on the flywheel that you can see. They're based on our retail flywheel. And if you think about how this works, it starts with the customer experience. If you create a really great customer experience, then going to a then that's going to drive additional traffic. And if you have additional traffic of customers, then you get more sellers. Sellers are definitely want to be on your platform if they know they're reaching a lot of different individuals and a lot of different customers. And with those additional sellers, we have additional selection, and that additional selection also feedbacks to our customer experience. So that holistic approach really creates a lot of additional growth. And with that growth, we can repurpose that. We can rescale and scale out. And as we do that, we are able to lower our cost structure. And with that lower cost structure, we can pass those savings onto our customers. And again, to continue, create an additional better customer experience for them. So as you can see, it really creates this closed flywheel by really focusing on those durable needs for our customers. Yeah, AWS is another great example for this. And the durable needs around AWS tend to be our bread and depth for services, security, reliability, scalability, all of our different features that our customers have come to know us and love about AWS. So, as we continue to grow, we continue to look at different aspects of our business and the different features that we're offering to continue to provide the next level of services for our customers. How can we else continue to innovate on their behalf? How can we look around those corners to see what's the best next feature? Or how else can we continue to grow those aspects for their businesses? As you can see, over the time, we had at least 115 product price reductions. We have 200 fully featured services. We have over 100,000 partners to assist our customers across the globe. And we have had a lot of significant new features and releases over the whole time. So we've had 2,000 plus features released in 2020 alone. So we continue to innovate and continue to make a better customer experience for our AWS customers as well. So now that we've got that level set and kind of grounded in your customer-centric approach, let's dig into how we actually organize ourselves here around innovation. It really boils down to 3 different elements. The first one is our culture, really speaks to our customer obsession. The principles that we believe in and kind of the way we guide ourselves on a daily basis to make sure we're continuing to have that customer centricity and focus. The second part is our mechanisms. You need things in place to make sure that you're really turning those ideas into actionable items. And finally, we'll dig into our architecture and the way that we structure ourselves to make sure that we can have that speed and agility in business. Sorry, I'm very thirsty today. So, let's start with our culture. You need the people to operate a system of innovation and give them a unifying set of beliefs. One of the mechanisms that we have used to drive that consistency in our culture is our focus on our customer and our leadership principles. At AWS and Amazon, we hold ourselves and each other responsible for demonstrating these 16 leadership principles in action every day. So these leadership principles describe how Amazon and AWS does business, how we want leaders to lead, and how we keep customer in the center of every decision that we make. You notice that these are just the headlines of these leadership principles. Each has a descriptive line of text behind them, and you can read them by going to the link that's shared on the left. Our leadership principles start with customer obsession, but there's no real order or hierarchy to them. You also might notice there's some tension between some of these leadership principles. For example, diving really deep could potentially slow down bias for action. How do you simultaneously dive deep and think big? We have leadership principles about disagreeing and committing. Well, our leadership principles were never designed to be harmonious. And in fact, they're meant to be used together in order to make us really focus on the customer and make faster and higher quality decisions. We use these guide spots in our decisions and weigh the priorities that we need to think about the time we need to make a decision. They help us frame conversations and decisions that are often really complex and also force us to look problemlessly from multiple different angles. But once we get that decision, we want everybody to commit. And regardless of what side of the decisions you were on, really need to commit to the decision that made and then focus of all our energy to the end. You also notice that we say our leadership principles unless you know better ones. Well, our leadership principles are stayed fairly consistent, but they aren't set in stone. They've changed over the time as Amazon businesses also changed. At the end of the day, what these leadership principles really do is provide us with a common language. And as I said, we really use them every day. I want to dive into one of them in detail now, just to give you an idea of what they really look like in practice. So I start off with the first one on the list, which is customer obsessions, my personal favorite. This leadership principle really helps set the tone for all other leadership principles and for everything that we do at Amazon and AWS. It starts by saying that we put the customer at the center of everything we do, and we work backwards from there. So it sets an expectation of tirelessly working to create incredible customer experiences, because today's wow becomes quickly tomorrow's ordinary. And customers are only loyal until they find a better way. We use that specific word, obsess over customers. It's very deliberate. it's not just good enough to think about your customers, but you really have to consistently keep your focus on their needs, on their opportunities, on what they want, and on their pain points in life. And you really need to strive to surprise and delight them in everything that you do, and that every day. So this leadership principle leads or is really the North Star, I would say, that helps us focus on just those things which are important for the customer in the end. I want to share an anecdote with you. This one shows, the customer obsession in a really real way, I would say. So back in the days of Amazon, Jeff Bezos encouraged whatever we gathered in a conference room of a meeting, that there should always be an empty chair in the conference room. Why? Yeah, I see those faces. Why? And we're reserving it in the way for the most important person in the room, the customer. This was symbolic, but a really powerful and visible reminder that framed the decision that we're going to make in that meeting. Not what's going to be the best decision for our business, only for the customer, because he or she is the important one. So, now that you know a little bit more about our culture, let's dive into the next element of how we organize ourselves around innovation, which is our mechanisms. And so mechanisms are encoded behaviors that really helps us to turn those good intentions into actions. You know, when you encounter a problem, you always want to make sure that you solve it. But you want to make sure that you put in that mechanism in place that a lot of people can follow. And make sure that we're actually following through consistently to solve those problems or get additional information. We also use different mechanisms in our day-to-day business. So one of those could be our quarterly business review and sometimes the monthly business news. I hate this part, to be honest. But we utilize these mechanisms to make sure that we get a deeper understanding of our business. We're communicating to our upper leadership so they get an understanding of what each of our team are doing so we can continue to solve and iterate on different issues and problems. So one of our hallmark mechanisms is the working backwards process. This is one that we use to produce any new product or service. Every new customer-facing product or service developed uses the Amazon backwards process. The mechanisms really make sure that we're providing the right thing for our customers. We're thinking it through. We are sure that we remain customer obsessed from the very beginning of any idea that we have here at Amazon or at AWS. And as always, everything what we're doing comes from the customer. So we want to know who they are, what are their needs, and what are their pain points. So we usually will say that here at AWS, 90% of the features that we develop are from the things that comes from our customers. It's from their feedback. And they've said, hey, can you create this new feature for us? Or I'd love to see this new feature at AWS. So about 19% of things that we create come from our customers. The additional 10% really comes from us. So I have to say this. Well, of course, we have a mechanism for that, and that's called our 5 customer questions. And with these questions, they're very simplistic. When you first look at them, so they answer who's the customer, most important customer benefit, how do you know what customer need or want, what does the customer experience look like? And of course, I have it here for you, so take a picture of that. You can use it by your own. So you could spend 5 minutes on these questions. You could probably spend 5 months or more on these questions. It really just depends on the level of detail that you need, what you're looking for. But the idea behind these questions is to really get that good sense of where you are in the process, where you're finding your approach, making sure that you have the answer for those questions before proceeding. And once you get the good feeling of these questions answered and you really feel comfortable, then you are ready to start the backworking process. The third element that we'll examine about how we approach innovation and organize towards innovation will be our architecture. And I think it's one of the most important things. We hire people who are excited to wake up every day and look for customer experience that they can improve or iterate or reinvent altogether. People who are excited about building the future on behalf of their customers. But you need to provide these builders a performant architecture and a platform and a robust set of tools that really enables them to invent that future and frees them up from concerns. We've learned how to do this through our own journey. And I'll share a little bit about that with you now. So, more than a decade ago, Amazon, like a lot of other companies, had a single monolithic architecture. And a business logic and the future were all centralized within this monolithic architecture. And everyone was coding against it as well. And this tightly coupled architecture was really efficient when Amazon was small. But as the company and the businesses scaled, it began to impact the speed. And that's a problem for us. You couldn't change, for example, code without really risking affecting downstream services. There could also potentially longer waits for build and deploying resources against the single monolithic architecture. And the people really started struggling to coordinate and even communicate, and that's a problem. There was no clear line around who owned which code. You really had to research, and that took time. So it started to create a little bit of inflexibility and impacted the speed of our businesses and also the businesses of our clients. And we just weren't making progress as fast as we really wanted to. So around the year 2000, we started the process of breaking down this monolithic architecture into a microservice-oriented architecture. We started separating this monolithic architecture into discrete domains and databases. For example, one specifically for orders, another for fulfillment, one for our website, one for our customers and their data, and so on and so forth. So today there are hundreds of thousands of these microservices at Amazon. The diagram that you're looking at here is just one part of our AWS business, which each small blue dot representing single standalone Microsoft. So these are all black blue dots. You actually do see some lines between or shading that presents how some of these microservices call each other. But you can still see that there are single standalone services, and they really form discrete building blocks and help us move fast in our business. All of the underlying business logic and data are all within one single service, and they are only expanded through others. This highly decoupled architecture really allowed servers to run independently of each other. So also migrating and validating the microservice is much easier than having to do it and one huge monolithic architecture. So let's take a look. By doing this, we fundamentally change our architecture so there is no gatekeeper anymore. There's no line to wait for storage, compute, databases, or start using machine learning. In the past, when you asked an engineer how long it might take to get a server to try or experiment, you get an answer like 10 to 12 weeks. In the cloud, you can provision thousands of servers within minutes, and that's amazing. So then we have over 200 services that you can put all together and use in whatever combination you want. This totally changed an organization, impact the amount of cycles employees spending thinking about innovation, because they know if they have an idea, they have the chance to see if it works. This expands the group of people inside a company that are thinking about new ideas from select few to everyone. So, our architecture really supports and accelerates the way we can address innovation and address our customer needs really in 3 big ways. So first, we are able to prototype really rapidly. With AWS, you have access to a very robust set of tools and technology offering that lets go from an idea to implementation in a record time. Second, it really lowers cost for failure. As it expands the group of people thinking and experimenting and testing different things with customer, it really increased the amount of ideas that are being acted upon. Because people know that as they have them, they can just go and experiment. It's the same like the Amazon Go store. So, and with that pay-as-you-go pricing, it's much cheaper to experiment. You can scale up or down if you want. So you can really only pay for what you use. And if an idea isn't working, you can just turn it off altogether. The third really big benefit is when we do find something that works, we can scale it incredibly rapidly. So AWS enables customers to deploy globally in minutes. And with this elasticity to really flex with business needs, whether that's through seasonally or spikes, and basically adjust automatically to these needs of your businesses. So now we're at the end of the presentation, but just want to give you just a quick reminder of what we discussed around these 3 elements. So the first one was our culture. It really speaks to how we have these set of level of beliefs around our leadership principles that help us guide ourselves and bring everybody on the same page. The second part was our mechanisms. Those are the things that we have in place to make sure that we can bring those good intentions into action frequently and quickly. And then we also have our architecture that really support our builders, allows them to move at faster clip and can make sure that they continue to grow and change whenever they need to. So we have that flexibility, and that's important. So thank you all for joining me for Amazon's Culture of Innovation. I hope that you found it, beneficially informative, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you, everybody, and have a good day.